This is our fifth and final webinar in this back to school upskilling series. Throughout the series, throughout the week, we've explored transformative power of AI. You attended great sessions with Dr. Jules White, who introduced an overarching AI framework. You learned about AI literacy with Victoria Lansdowne. Then Jared Merlot walked you through how to use generative AI for creating customized assessments for your classroom. Kasper Lodzikovsky showed some of the cutting edge AI tools that we're developing at Pearson. So today, with this session, we're going to wrap it all up and make a very hands-on session on how to use AI in your classroom and treating AI as a prototyping tool. So to be honest, I was like really blown away by the quality and breadth of the other presenters. And I think everything that you've learned so far sets you up for success for this session. And I think you're ready for what's about to happen to you in this one. Since I'm not, that rich and famous yet, so here's a bit information about me, right? So I'm a former ESL teacher slash experimenter. So over the course of my career, I taught in multiple different programs in New York City, teaching at the Spanish American Institute, Baruch College, Hunter College, Columbia University Community Impact. But one thing that I did during my teaching career is always trying to tinker and prototype with different tools, different methodologies, and kind of like experimenting with building my own websites, creating custom games for my students, because I really wanted to figure out like what really makes teaching and learning languages really fun. So these days I work at Pearson and I lead a team of innovators, and my team works on a lot of really cool projects that use cutting edge technologies. For example, we are experimenting with things like speaking avatars that are powered by AI. We're developing VR games for language practice. I also support my colleagues with different conferences with emerging technologies. And we are also sponsoring, coordinating, organizing, or participating in industry hackathons around AI or virtual reality and other applications. But I always joke that I'm an undercover teacher, right? So to this day, I still think as an ESL teacher just inside of Pearson, and everything that we do in my team is pretty much kind of like using more advanced tools to make teaching more awesome. So a couple of things about this session, right? So your mind by the end of the session will be blown away when you realize that teachers are the best innovators. Prototyping is the best way to learn about AI and about any other technology. You're going to discover 7 or even more AI tools for English teaching. And if you guys behave, I'll show you one extra bonus tool and reveal a little secret. So teachers are innovators. Let me explain why. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the UNESCO AI competency framework for teachers. If you do or don't, please let me know in the chat. But I think it's a very powerful framework. So what it is, if you don't, right? So UNESCO published the first global AI teacher competency framework that outlines 12 competencies for teachers. 15 competencies for teachers on around AI. But what I really want to highlight in this framework, right? So as you see, it has 5 different aspects and 3 progression levels from acquire, deepen, and create. And you will notice that a lot of these areas overlap really nicely to all of the 4 sessions that came before this, right? So some were focused on ethics, some on just AI literacies, and so on. In my session, we're going to focus on this last level of progression called create, where teachers are expected to be creators of AI, creators with AI, and how they can use AI in the classroom to really transform their pedagogy with the help of it, right? So to unpack, I cherry-picked a couple of quotes from this framework. So the first one is about the third competency, right? And it says that this competency at the final create level involves skills for teachers to adapt and customize AI tools to build human-centered and age-appropriate learning environments, right? So I want to really highlight to you this fact that teachers will be adapting and customizing AI tools. So just kind of like start thinking of yourself not just as a consumer of something of AI, but more of a tinkerer and prototyper with AI as a teacher, right? Fourth aspect is AI pedagogy, right? And here teachers need to enhance their capacity to critically adapt and creatively explore innovative practices in the context of advancing capabilities of emerging AI iterations. So if that sounds complex, simple way to think about it is in the future, right? And we are already living in that future. Teachers are creators with AI, teachers are creators of AI, and teachers use pedagogy, right? Is pedagogy and AI combined. I'll choose one final quote from this framework before we go into the nuts and bolts of this, right? And I want to read this one verbatim. So again, at the create level, right, of AI competencies, teachers should be able to combine or modify open source or customizable AI toolkits to develop tailored solutions to educational challenges in local context. So here's how it relates to this session, right? So combine and modify. In my world, we call this prototyping, right? So prototyping is basically taking some tools that exist and then changing them to solve your needs. Customizable AI toolkits. This is all about hacking. So it's how you stacking and tweaking all these different tools to create something that didn't exist before. Tailored solutions and educational challenges in local context means that you are solving your own problems in the classroom with the help of AI, and you really focus on, okay, what are my teaching problems? What are my students' problems? And how I can tinker with these different AI tools to solve these problems, right? So, and that's why, this session is really focused about hacking and teaching and viewing teaching as prototyping. 4 choices that I made for this webinar that you need to know before you freak out. So first is we're going to have lots of rapid fire demos of many, many, many different tools. So I decided not to give you very slow tutorials on like 2 or 3 tools. I decided to give you tons of tools to show you what's possible so you get inspired. So second, this session, because it's so fast paced and I'm not going to slow down to go into details, it's meant to be watched and rewatched. So after it's published on the YouTube channel, please go back and maybe watch it slowly again if you miss any details. Third, all AI concepts will be taught very casually just by me explaining how tools work and implicitly. But at the end, you will realize how much you learned not only about the tools, but about AI just by watching these experimentation demos. Fourth, some things can really not be taught. They can only be learned. So everything that I show you is only showing you what I've learned. If you really want to learn these things, you have to just take these tools, experiment with them yourselves, and only then you will truly learn. Okay, so let's talk about human-centered design and prototyping for a second. So in boring terms, and I don't like boring terms, but in boring terms, you can view human-centered design as a problem-solving approach that is based on hands-on experimentation in the real world with real people. In simpler terms, what this really means is that best AI solutions or best AI applications are solutions to problems designed by the people who have these problems, not by somebody else for the people that have problems. And second, if you want to learn how AI really works, don't study it as a subject, experiment with it as a tool. So that is those are the kind of 2 premises of this presentation, right? So in other words, by trying to solve your own and your students' problems with AI, you will develop AI skills. Okay, so now we're going to get into the weeds, and this is going to get really, really scary. I don't know if you guys ever been on the roller coaster. On the roller coaster, that point where you kind of going up slowly, tick, 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 and you get to the top. So we reached this point in this presentation. So we're about to go down, and it's going to be real fast and real dangerous. Okay, so first one, creating your custom AI teaching assistants. So I'm going to show you how you can create your own AI assistants to do a lot of custom work for you. I don't know if maybe let me know in the chat. Have any of you ever needed to create a curriculum or a syllabus for your course, or a scope and sequence if you're a curriculum designer? If you have, you probably know that it takes quite a lot of effort and a lot of time. So I hear, I see a lot of yeses. So for example, when I used to teach at Hunter College, for every single class we taught, we had to create a full syllabus, including a very detailed week-by-week scope and sequence. And when I joined Pearson, my first role was a curriculum designer, and I spent most of my time in Excel creating scope and sequence documents and pasting, one thing, one field out, into another. So what I'm going to show you is a scope and sequence creator AI assistant that I built for myself that works, that does a lot of work for me. And later I'll show you how you can build one yourself. So how many of you used ChatGPT or custom GPT? Just let me know in the comments. So I don't know what your experience have been. So one thing that I want you to take away from this webinar is that you are the pedagogy expert, right? AI is never going to be the pedagogy expert. You are the pedagogy expert. But if you tell it and instruct it pedagogically, it can do a lot of pedagogical tasks on your behalf. So I'm now going to go into a rapid fire demo showing you how the custom GPT that I built for myself works. And I'm going to unpack it. So here we go. So now here I'm opening custom GPT, scope and sequence creator. And the way that I programmed for it to work is that it will start asking me questions. So I'm going to GSC Teacher Toolkit. I'm selecting a couple of listening and speaking objectives for an advanced level class focused on EDMs. And now what I'm going to do is select these objectives. I'm actually going to take a whole screenshot of this instead of downloading it and uploading, because multimodal AI already supports this. So you can see me taking objectives from the GSC Teacher Toolkit. Now it asks me, do you have learning objectives? I said yes. So I'm uploading a screenshot of the learning objectives that I want. And after this, it will continue asking me some questions before it can create a curriculum, right? So how many hours is the course? What is the course focusing on? What are the any specific skills you want to highlight? How many hours a week? How many total hours you have? So I'm basically going to ask it, uh, I'm going to give it a lot of information, right? So as you notice here, this is the reverse relationship with ChatGPT. Usually people ask ChatGPT questions and it responds. I program mine to work in reverse. So it asks me questions and I give the answers about my course, and then it gives me something in the end, right? So basically what I'm trying to do here is I want to create a custom curriculum for an advanced level class that has intensive English program for 8 weeks, meeting 18 hours a week, focusing on B2 plus C1 students, right? And focusing on listening and speaking with a big focus on idiomatic expressions and idioms to reach spoken fluency and confidence for my students, right? So that's basically, I'm giving all this information. So you can see here, I continue giving these instructions and so on. Now, the way that I set this custom GPT up is that first it will create a draft, right? Like as you see, it starts generating and confirming details. Is this what you really wanted? Did I get all the details correct? So now you can see it starts generating week by week summary of like what topics will be covered, what activities will be covered. And I design it so that it gives me this like high level view first. I can give feedback back to it, say, I don't like this, you missed that, change this, change that, add this, or I forgot to mention that. And after I'm happy, it starts then generating an entire scope and sequence document, right? So as you can see, it now has week by week breakdown. Second column contains our units of progression. Column 3 contains topics covered. And now what you see here is I just copied and pasted this into a Word document, right? So we basically started with a custom GPT. It asked me a bunch of questions, and then the final output is a detailed syllabus that contains course description, scope and sequence, and so on, right? So that was very fast. So let me just unpack, right? So this is what we generated. Course description, scope and sequence, right? Scope and sequence, as I said, week by week, units of progressions in the first column, topics covered, and then column 3 contains 10 idioms for that week, and the last column contains the activities that we have, right? So it's pretty impressive, right? What you can do. And the funny thing, it's not very difficult to set up. And of course, one thing I want to mention is that first output is never really that great, but just because you can program it to be like a back and forth and iterate, it can automate a lot of manual work for you while you do all the pedagogical thinking that you typically do. Okay, so now what I'm going to show you is a demo of how to create a custom GPT for yourself, right? So in this one, so what we just did, right? So we created the curriculum. So we have a curriculum, week by week, topics and idioms, but we still don't have any lesson materials, right? So I'm sure you spend a lot of time planning and creating materials. And I can tell you from my experience, most of the places that I worked for as a teacher, I was never actually paid for the lesson planning time, right? I was only paid for teaching time. And I'm sure we have a lot of teachers on this webinar that are in the same situation. The beautiful thing about AI is now you can cut back on the time spent on planning and creating materials with a custom assistant. So what I'm going to do now is I'll show you how I am creating a custom AI assistant that, given a syllabus, can generate an entire lesson for me, right? And the reason I'm doing it is because when I teach, I don't want to go back to ChatGPT and create all of these instructions every single time, go back and forth. I want to program it once. And then every time I need to design a lesson, I simply upload my syllabus or I send a screenshot of my syllabus and it already knows what to do. And it generates a lesson for me in the exact format, in the exact progression, an instructional sequence that I set up one time. So let me show you how it works. So this is going to be really exciting. Okay, let's see. Okay, so here's, I'm going to explore custom GPT. I click create. And what you see on the left side is me chatting to AI, explaining my ideal assistant that I want to create. What does it do? What does it create? And on the right-hand side, you see how it will start on the fly, building out that assistant and the interface with all the buttons. You see, I gave it some instructions. This thing on the right already appeared. So what I'm doing on the left, right? I'm basically saying, I want you to be a custom lesson generator. And actually, let me just pause this for a second here, right? So, oops. So what I'm doing here on the left side, right? So because the video is going pretty fast, what I'm describing to the planner is, as a teacher, I'm sure you have your own kind of teaching philosophy or teaching approach or teaching style. And over the years, you know what really works for a beginner or for intermediate student, for advanced students, or what really works well, like what is the right scaffolding sequence for listening and speaking. So I have that opinion, and I want my AI assistant to mirror that teaching style for me, right? So what I'm giving is basically giving AI instructions to say, I will upload a syllabus. Based on the syllabus, I want you to create the following instructional sequence, right? I want you to create, idiom matching exercises. I want pre-teaching exercises, icebreaker, the hook activity, listening and speaking activity, and things like that, right? So that's what's going on here, right? So I'm just going to continue the video. So I'll send these instructions. It will understand how it works, right? I then say, okay, let's call it, something. It suggested a name. Do you want to call it EDM Lesson Planner? I said yes. Then it generates this custom, icon for me, and you see it appears on the right. And now it's updating the instructions. And the last thing I do, I removed all those options that I didn't like, and I basically publish. Boom. So it took me maybe 3-5 minutes to create a custom GPT. And now I launched it and I'm going to test, right? So what I'm doing now is I took a screenshot from our syllabus that we generated, pasted it here, and now it should generate an entire end-to-end lesson sequence based on the specifications that I gave it, right? So, and I think it did this pretty cool, right? So now I didn't like something. I noticed that it generated only 5 idioms out of 10 for each week. So basically, for this lesson. And I said, you know what? Regenerate it, but make sure to include all 10. So now it's rewriting this entire lesson, right? So it has a hook at the beginning, idiom and definition matching exercise with 10 idioms, script with the dialogue that contains these idioms, instructional table. I'll explain what we're going to do with this later. We're going to create a custom video based on this table. We create song lyrics for this. Actually, at the beginning of the session, you might have heard a song. So that song was generated with AI. So we're going to create our own custom songs for the classroom with the same exact language from the lesson and so on, right? So basically, whichever your preferred kind of instructional sequence is, you can program your own custom GPT to generate activities. And then all you need to do is upload your syllabus and it already knows what to do. So pretty exciting stuff, right? So we go next. All right, so what we created now is this, right? So this was the output of this step. So we have raw content. So what I call raw content is basically, we have the content that we're going to use for this lesson to teach, but it's not necessarily the presentation of how we're going to present it, right? Because we don't want to just print this and give to students. There are much better ways to present this information. Okay, so some couple of takeaways, right, from this stage is, first, you are the human expert in the loop. You're the pedagogy expert. Describe your pedagogy and instructional style, and AI will just follow your instructions. I recommend creating multiple AI assistants for different purposes instead of using ChatGPT or creating this like mega assistant that does a lot of things, right? So if you want to get really precise outputs, lesson plans in the exact specific order and so on, I recommend create like one custom GPT for curriculum, one for lessons, one for idioms, one for song generator, one for grammar explanations, and so on. Okay, so let's go ahead to the next one. So yeah, and the prototyping rule number one is just iterate, iterate, and iterate. There's no perfect prompt. There's only perfect process, and the perfect process is try, test it, try, test it, try, test it, and then you get to a perfect output. Okay, so I hope that wasn't too fast. Now we're going to go into some really exciting stuff. So remember that we generated that raw content, right? It's basic. It sits in the Word document, so it's still pretty boring stuff. What I'm going to now show you is how you can create custom gamified apps that you can digitally share with your students, like the one that you see here on the left, using Claude, right? So Claude artifacts. So I don't know. Let me know in the chat. Have you guys tried using Claude artifacts or Claude projects? So if you haven't, Claude is very similar to ChatGPT. But instead of just generating text or images, Claude is also able to write code, right? So it can program an entire web application for you. And that application can be shared digitally with the students and it can work, right? So I don't know if you ever use any gamified apps like Kahoot or some of the other ones. I can show you how you can create your own version with Claude in just 5 minutes or maybe 5 or 10 minutes or so. So, all right. So in this demo, what you're going to learn is that you don't have to learn to use one AI tool at the same time. You can use 2, 3, 4, 5 AI tools at the same time. So what we see here on the left side is ChatGPT, right? Remember those idioms on the left and the explanations on the right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screenshot of this and I will paste it into Claude and I will ask Claude to create a custom gamified app to practice these idioms interactively. So let me start this demo, right? So taking this screenshot. I'm very good at copy pasting. Copy pasting is a very, very powerful skill in the age of AI. So I sometimes joke that I do copy pasting for a living. So basically, I'm giving very simple instructions here to Claude, uploading that screenshot over here. And what you see on the right, it starts writing software program, right? So I don't know if you guys know how to program. I don't know how to program. The good thing is you don't need to know how to program anymore. You can just ask AI to program for you. And if something breaks, you don't need to know how to fix it. You can just complain to AI and say, hey, this thing doesn't work, fix it. And I usually say, please, and it usually gives you a better result. So it's good to be polite. So what you are seeing on the right? This is an interactive app that it's creating. And I'm complaining to AI on the left to say, I don't like it. I want idioms and words to be side by side on the screen, not one below and the other. And it keeps regenerating it for me, right? So it's regenerating this code, right? So we can see now that on the left side, we click an idiom. On the right side, we have the definition. And when we have the right match, it gives you feedback. Yes, that's correct. And if it's not correct, it automatically gives you feedback of like why it's not correct and what the correct response is, right? And I published it and now it's available, right? At this point, I can share this link with my students and they can practice with it, right? Either in class or at home, right? So it's pretty powerful. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another one. And I want to create one that is optimized for mobile devices. In places where I used to teach, students didn't have laptops. We didn't have a smart board or projector. So I used to use QR codes and share activities that could be completed on a very small screen. So what I'm asking is create a multiple choice activity with idioms where you need to fill in the blank with the right idiom in context and that it should be optimized for a mobile device. So now I'm going to create one more app for me on my behalf, right? So, and again, while it's generating, I can take a break or generate another thing or get a cup of coffee. So here we go, right? So now this is an idiom exercise, multiple choice. We have a sentence. You need to decide which idiom goes into this blank. And when you click on the right or wrong option, it either highlights it in green or red and gives you the explanation, right? So now I'm saying, you know what? I also want you to create a progress bar. I want to add a little bit more of a gamification elements to it. And now I'm asking basically to create a progress bar so you can see how many you completed. And also I noticed that it generated only 5 EDMs and not 10. And I said, make sure that all 10 are included and give me that progress bar, right? So here we go. Now we have score 0 out of 10 on the bottom. We have a progress bar at the top. So as we click through the EDMs, we're receiving feedback and we're seeing that progress bar completing there at the very top. So I hope your mind is blown away by how powerful this is. So let's see. Is the video still going here? Oh yeah. Oh look, now I'm going to show you something really cool. What I can do, I don't know if you guys know how to use share with QR code activity, but this activity, after it's completed, I can publish it, right? So if I wanted it to publish it with the student, I can go to the Google Chrome, click share with QR code. It generates a custom QR code for this activity, and students can scan it and practice it on their phone. Actually, you know what? Maybe let's do it, right? So this QR code is real. This app was created for this purposes. Maybe take out your phone and try to scan this QR code and see what your students will see if you generated a custom activity with Claude and shared it with students with a QR code. So let me know if it works. Okay, nice. It works. So it's pretty cool stuff, right? So as you saw, we took a screenshot of an activity, just gave instructions to AI to create an app. We published it, created a QR code. Now by scanning a QR code, your students can do a quiz activity. So instead of printing materials next time, maybe you can consider doing this instead. So again, pretty cool stuff. So this is just a recap of what we just generated, right? So we took a screenshot of EDMs and definitions, created 2 apps, one for a large screen practice, one for mobile practice, and we generated a QR code for students to practice. So takeaways, right? So go step by step. I don't know if you ever did like the CELTA certification. Sometimes they teach test approach with students. You can use the same approach with AI, right? So basically, give it instructions, test it. If it doesn't work, teach AI, kind of like explain what you want differently, try again, and then go in this kind of like step by step, back and forth way. Trust the process, right? Sometimes AI generates something much better than what you expected and what you asked. And I just want you to be open to that. And if it doesn't, then you can just ask AI to fix it for you. Again, remember that you are the expert. You are the human in the loop. So if AI generates some kind of mistake, I don't know if you notice actually, I think activity number 3 in that QR code thing, the item number 3 has a grammatical error, right? So even AI can make English mistakes, but you as an expert, you are accountable to make sure that whatever you end up sharing with your students in the classroom has been approved by you, right? And just a quick note on privacy. Any artifact with Claude is available to everybody online. So please don't share any sensitive information in those activities. Otherwise, somebody might find them. So let's go to the next one. So now we're going to get into the listening and speaking activities, right? So and we're gonna learn a tool called 11 Labs. Actually, if you watched Jared Merlot's, my colleague's presentation about creating custom assessments, he used 11 Labs to create listening passages. I'm gonna show you how you can use ChatGPT and 11 Labs side by side to create custom audio conversations. Actually, before I show you, I have a question. Do you ever use activities, like listening activities in the classroom? Do you ever feel that you've been using the same dialogues, boring dialogues for the last 10 or 15 or 20 years, maybe from the era of the CD or something, and all those boring listening passages that like listening 1, part 1, 1.1, and then 2 boring speakers go back and forth discussing something that like used to be fun 20 years ago, and you're still using that audio, or that you can never find a good activity online, and they're either too fast or too difficult or too boring or too dull or too long. and things like that. So I'm going to show you how with AI, that problem can be solved almost instantly. So in this demo, let me just go straight into the demo. So in this demo, remember that we created the dialogue with ChatGPT by our EDM lesson planner assistant. What I did is I took that dialogue and I'm gonna copy paste line by line everything from the dialogue into this tool called 11 Labs. 11 Labs has this feature called VoiceOver Studio, which allows you to create conversations, not just synthesizing audio for one speaker, but you can create conversations between 2, 3, 4, 5 speakers, right? So what I'm doing on the left, I'm pasting those names of from the dialogue, right? So we have Taylor, Jordan, and Chris. For each speaker now, I'm selecting what voice I want. So I already have some favorites, so I'm just gonna go ahead and select for each speaker in the conversation to select, male or female voice. And what I'm gonna do now is copy and paste it and generate that line for that speaker. And I'm gonna test if it sounds good.
All right, team. We've been sitting here for an hour. Someone needs to break the ice and get this meeting going.
Okay, now I'm gonna generate the line for Jordan. So I'm gonna go copy this from ChatGPT, paste it into Jordan's line, generate it, and then test it.
Well, I think we can hit the nail on the head with a simple solution. Just give the client a ballpark figure to start with.
Okay. Now we're just gonna test if there's no overlap
Going.
there.
Well, I think we can hit the nail on the head with a simple solution. Just
Okay, so now let's do Chris, a different voice, generate the audio.
I agree. Let's go the extra mile and offer them some additional services too.
Okay. Now I'm going to do the same for the rest of the conversation. And again, in the age of AI, one of the most useful skills that you can develop is copy paste, right? So you generate a bunch of stuff and then you copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, right? So now I already have my workflow and I'm just like, while one audio is being generated, I'm just, copying and pasting the other ones to generate the full conversation. Okay. So our conversation is ready. Let's take a look.
All right, team. We've been sitting here for an hour. Someone needs to break the ice and get this meeting going.
well, I think we can hit the nail on the head with a simple solution. Just give the client a
You just stop.
ballpark figure to start with.
I agree. Let's go the extra mile and offer them some additional services too.
Whoa, that idea came out of left field, but I like it.
Thanks, but we'll have to step up our game to meet those expectations. Are we sure we're on the ball?
Definitely. We'll be fine. Let's wrap up soon before I need to blow off steam from all this stress.
I'm with you. Let's get this done and call it a day.
Agreed. We don't want to throw in the towel, but we don't need to burn ourselves out either.
Okay, pretty cool. So I like this conversation. Now I'm just going to export, download it, save it on my drive as an audio file. And now let's test
All
if it
right,
works.
team. We've been sitting here for an hour. Someone needs to break the ice and get this meeting going.
Okay, so pretty cool stuff, right? So we chose 3 voices. We copy pasted everything from ChatGPT into 11 Labs. Of course, I must admit, is this conversation perfect? Probably not, right? Because we just did it very quickly, right? So took us maybe like 3, 4, 5 minutes. So in addition to it, right, I thought, I realized that we created this audio passage, right? So with 3 different speakers. But I thought, okay, why not ask ChatGPT to create another activity? So I asked it to remove all the idioms from the conversation and give me this kind of like fill in the blank activity, right? So now I can play this audio, print this for my students, or put this into Claude as an interactive app for them to listen and type into on their mobile device, right? As we did with the QR code. And then I also generated this discussion questions, right? So after they fill in the blanks with the idioms, we can talk about this conversation to really make sure that students understand how these idioms are used in context, right? So a couple of takeaways and tips, right? You use diverse voices for different situations and regional or localization needs for your conversations. You probably noticed that some handoff between one speaker and another was a bit unnatural and felt isolated. That's normal, right? Because that was the first pass. We just like generated it without editing. What you can do with this tool is, if you don't like intonation or handover between different passages, you can record yourself with your intonation contour that you want, right? Like, oh, really? Right? Or, things like that. And what the AI will do, it will use your intonation, but it will still preserve the original voice of the speaker, right? So if you wanted to create very dramatic or angry or whatever conversations, you can do that with that tool as well, right? And again, what I recommend is to stack a lot of these different tools, right, side by side. So you generate script with a custom AI assistant, you paste maybe the text-based activity into Claude to create an interactive quiz to do something, and then you paste the audio dialogue line into 11 Labs to generate a custom audio. So I hope you agree that this is pretty powerful stuff. Okay, so far we've been doing some ugly stuff with text and QR codes. Now let's take a look at creating beautiful images for your classroom, and we're going to use DALL-E 2 and Leonardo.ai as our tools for this demo. But there's a couple of others, right? So I hope you recognize, based on the idioms that we've had so far, which idiom this image is for. Maybe I should do a formative assessment and like which idiom is this an image for. So anyway, I want to ask you a question, guys. Do you ever use images like photos in your classroom? Do you ever find that you're trying to Google and like do like image search for an image, but you can never find that right one? You find like some like ugly looking, weird, creepy images, and no matter how hard you try describing it, you're still finding some kind of like trashy or weird images, and you say, you know what, forget about this activity, right? So the good thing is, at least that happened to me in the past. So and with AI, this is no longer a problem, because with AI, you can create a custom high quality photo, image, illustration, cartoon that has exactly the elements that you want, right? So I'm going to show you how you can do it. So in this activity, in this demo, I will show you how I am using ChatGPT to do two things. Well, I actually have a confession to make. I am horrible at writing prompts for AI, right? So I don't know if online, maybe on YouTube, you saw those like beautiful, stunning photos that people generate with AI with tools like Midjourney. And I'm like, wow, I want to create, a whole portfolio of these beautiful images. And then I go to Midjourney, try, and my image is like ugly as hell. So I'm just not good at writing prompts. The good thing is you don't need to be good at writing prompts, because you can ask AI to write a prompt for another AI and then give that prompt to that AI, and it will generate a good image, right? So that's what I typically do. So let me show you what my typical workflow for this. So I'm going just in the basic ChatGPT. I say, act as a professional prompt engineer expert. I will share idioms with you. What I want you to do is to generate detailed prompts to give to another AI, so I can then use this prompt to generate images for each idiom, right? So what it's doing, it's not generating images, it's generating prompts to generate images. But since ChatGPT has DALL-E features already built in, I'm now going to ask, you know what, actually go ahead and generate these images one at a time, right? So here we go, break the ice. I said, okay, good, keep going. Here's the hit the nail on the head. Okay, pretty good. Let's keep going. All right, so that's a ballpark figure right there. Pretty good. This one I said, this is ugly. I wanted you to make it more realistic. Do another one. So it says, okay, that's a better one, but I still don't see the concept of extra. So do something about the extra mile. So it's going to take a step and try generating another one for me. So I don't know, it's a weird looking one. So I just gave up on it. I say, forget about it. So then let's do, okay, out of left field. I said again, make it more photorealistic. So, okay, maybe this one, maybe not. So I just say, oh, you know what, keep going. So this one is to step up your game. It's like, I didn't get it. Doesn't make sense. Do another one. This one, I don't like it either. I say, make it more literal. I want like someone stepping up on a game or something like that. So it generated this, kind of like, step up your game. So, okay, that's weird, but cool. I guess it makes sense. This one, on the ball, I said, no, I want actually the ball or something and juggling. so it will generate another one. So let's see. Okay, so it generated this one. I think it looks better. Weird, but I guess it does the job for an idiom. So this one is for blow of steam. So now I switched to Leonardo, right? I didn't like some of the other images, so I said, let me try a different tool. And I went ahead and used a different tool, Leonardo.ai. I find that Leonardo.ai is much better at generating quality images, but once in a while, DALL-E does a better job than Leonardo, right? So let me just skip to this one, right? So these are 10 EDMs that we had. We generated 10 custom images. Some of them came, like I think this one, like the one in the middle and the bottom, and on the left, they came from Leonardo. And then I think the top lower three came from Leonardo. The other one came from DALL-E. And now we have custom images to use for our idioms. So what are the tips for this, right? So if you're stuck and you don't know how to create prompts, don't worry about it. Just ask AI to write prompts for you, and then ask it to write to generate the images for you, right? In AI, we have this concept called chain of thought prompting, right? So chain of thought prompting is, instead of going to AI and asking it to do 10 things, you ask AI to kind of like break down its thinking process into step by step, right? And you say, first, give me definitions for these idioms. Then give me detailed prompts that I can give AI to generate images. Then generate one image and ask me if I like it. If I like it, generate another one. After all 10 images are generated, do something else, right? So this is called chain of thought prompting. And it works really well because you give AI more time to think, and the outcome is much better. As you probably realize, image generation works better for concrete topics like generating fruits and vegetables or seasons or furniture. But generating photos for idioms like we did, it could be tricky. But maybe, idioms could be a pretty good, like sometimes these ambiguous images, they could be a good thing to do for some speaking, striking some interesting conversations. My recommendation is don't generate images live in front of a class. So do your homework, generate images, because once in a while, AI generates an image that you don't want anybody to see. So don't do it on the front of class tool would be my recommendation. And then, last one is use several tools at once. Take the same prompt, paste it into 3 or 4 or 5 image generators, and select the best image that you like. Actually, one point on like diversity and inclusion. You probably noticed there were a lot of white men generated in that image. AI does this sometimes. If you want to have more representation of different ethnicities or different genders in your images, ask AI to generate prompts that are more inclusive. In that case, you're going to have a proper distribution of and diversity of characters in your images, and you don't have any bias. So now we're going to go into some really, really cool stuff. So all of this has been boring so far. Now let's do something with the flipped classroom. I'm going to show you how you can create custom AI videos with talking avatars that look like real people that can say whatever you want them to say. And for this, we're going to use this tool called Synthesia. But before we do, I have a question for you guys. Have you ever had this, perfect day where like you're teaching, somebody else, like a student asks you a question, and you give such a perfect explanation that everybody is nodding, and you think to yourself like, wow, I'm such a good explainer. I love my job and so on. And then maybe next week, another student from a different class asks the exact same question, and you're struggling to explain it, and nobody understands. Everybody is crying. Everybody is frustrated. And you say to yourself, I wish I just recorded that explanation from the other week so I can just like play this explanation instead of coming up with this one. So at least it happened to me, right? On a bad hair day, sometimes, your explanations don't work. So I'm going to show you how AI can help avoid this type of use cases. And you can generate a perfect explanation as a video and then save it for a rainy day, if you will. So what I'm going to do here is I asked, remember the table that we generated that had idiom in column 1, definition in column 2, and sentence with that idiom in context in column 3, right? So the reason we did it is because this will now become the input for us to create a video script. So what I'm doing is I'm asking ChatGPT to analyze this screenshot and create a script for an instructional video. So as you can see here, for each slide in a presentation, now AI generates a script for the instructor to say. Now I'm going to Synthesia.com, which is the AI avatar tool that allows me to select different templates, different characters, and I pick one simple template with one character, keep it clean, and all I'm going to do is go to ChatGPT and remember, copy the script from ChatGPT on the left, paste it into each slide on the bottom. And instead of generating audio like we did with 11 Labs, it will generate a video of this instructor explaining this thing. So I'm just going to skip and show you what the end result of this process looks like.
Welcome to today's lesson on American idioms. Idioms are phrases that have a figurative meaning different from their literal words. In this lesson, we'll cover 10 common American idioms, explain their meanings, and show you how to use them in everyday conversation. By the end, you'll be able to confidently incorporate these idioms into your English speaking and writing. Let's get started. Our first idiom is break the ice. It means to start a conversation in a social setting, often when things feel a bit uncomfortable. Here's how you might hear it in a sentence. The team leader told a joke to break the ice at the start of the meeting. The second idiom is hit the nail on the head. This one means to describe something exactly as it is. For example, when you suggested simplifying the plan, you hit the nail on the head. It's a great idiom to use when you're talking about social situations that need a little warming up.
Okay.
Welcome to today's lesson on.
So what do you guys think? Is that pretty realistic? So the interesting thing, right? Well, actually, let's cover this takeaways, right? First, I want to highlight one thing because sometimes when I show this kind of like demos to teachers, some teachers freak out like, "Oh my God, AI is going to take my job." AI is not going to take your job, right? And definitely, instructional avatars are not going to replace you, but AI avatars can assist you, right? You can outsource or delegate some of your tasks or explanations to this type of avatars and create videos, right? So, for example, if you are using a flipped classroom approach and you don't want to spend time explaining this idiom in the class, you can simply generate a bunch of these videos for all the things you're covering in your course, share these videos with students ahead of time. If you're using, I don't know, WhatsApp groups, for example, you can share those videos there so students can watch them. So then by the time students come to your classroom, they already know the idioms. And now you can just do a lot of practice activity, right? So you can do a lot of, listening and speaking and role plays type activities and provide feedback and not waste time explaining those things that an avatar can explain on your behalf. One important AI concept is garbage in, garbage out, right? So if your script is garbage, your video is going to be garbage, right? So make sure that you have first a real quality script, review that the script itself is really good, then paste it into a video tool and your video is going to be good as well. You can create your own templates and different avatars. What I would recommend is maybe choose different avatars for different purposes. You can have like a EDM avatar, a grammar avatar, a writing avatar, pronunciation avatar, and then maybe you can have different libraries of things that you can share with your students that kind of like look cohesive, but also different and unique. You can also play around with different accents. So it could be American accent or British accent, different ethnicities of characters and so on. And you can even add those ChatGPT or Leonardo generated images into the slides to make them more beautiful, right? So you would have idiom, explanation, example, and an image, right? So, but my advice is, keep it simple. Don't add a bunch of weird stuff into the slides. It's going to be distracting, like memes and GIFs and all this kind of stuff. So try to manage cognitive load for your students. Okay. So now I'm gonna show you how you create an avatar that is a copy of yourself. So how many of you saw my promotional video on either the Pearson YouTube channel or LinkedIn or some other social media? Have you seen my video? How many of you realized that my promo video was actually not a video of me? It was a video of my AI generated avatar. So basically what I did is instead of using some random person that impersonates an instructor on my behalf, I said, why can't I generate an avatar that looks like me, has my voice, and does, so it's a digital version of me doing things on my behalf. So I'm going to show you how you can do it. So for this one, we're going to use heygen.com. There's a lot of other tools that you can use for this. What I'm going to go is to click on this option, Instant Avatar. It will ask me to either upload a 2-minute video of myself or record a new video using a web camera. So in this case, I uploaded a video of myself. I think it was like 3 minutes long. And then it creates a digital avatar that replicates your background, your voice, your face, right? So I guess you can see the resemblance of the avatar and me right over here. And now what you can do is, instead of selecting a template with some other avatar, you can select yourself as an avatar. You can paste the text, right, as we did from ChatGPT, or you can type your text. You can select your voice, right? You can see here, Ilya Gogin is my voice available in the system. And what it will generate is a video of me as if I made that video, but based on that text. So here's a video I created yesterday just for this demo, right? So I never made this video, right? I just pasted the text into it and it generates this.
Hi folks, Ilya's avatar here. If you're watching this, we've almost reached the end of the Friday webinar. Hope it wasn't too bad. If it was, please don't tell my mother.
All right, so that's my video.
Hi folks.
A couple of takeaways here. You can use your own avatar to flip your classroom, just like I showed with Synthesia. You can create a lot of explanations or guides or onboarding videos for your students this way. You can create different avatars of yourself in different environments. Again, like I can wear a black t-shirt standing in this room to be an EDM coach. I can sit down on a couch and wearing something different and create another video model of myself, maybe doing some, I don't know, speaking or pronunciation type videos. And so this tool kind of like gives you these options. So you saw at the beginning that we started this webinar with a AI song that was playing at the beginning. So as I mentioned, I generated that song with AI. Now I'm going to demo how you can use AI to create your own custom songs. So for this tool, for this demo, we're going to use this tool called Udio. So Udio is still in beta, so sometimes it generates some weird stuff, but it already works really, really well. So before I show you the demo, I just have a question for you guys. Do you ever use songs with your ESL students? When I used to teach, I used to use songs quite a lot. My main complaint was that it's really hard to find a song that contains the grammar or the vocabulary or the idioms in high density within a short song that is also at the right level of difficulty and is also interesting and fun. Like, I think it's almost impossible. So I'm sure some of you have maybe a list of songs that you use for different structures. Like, I don't know. I remember, like if you teach conditionals, right? Like second conditional, you may be using, bare naked ladies. Like if I had $1 million, I would buy you a house, and things like this. And then maybe after the years of reusing the same songs, you kind of like get sick and tired of them. So I'm gonna show you how you can use this AI tool to create a song in any genre using any grammatical structure or vocabulary or idioms for your students. It's extremely powerful. So let me just go straight into the demo, and you'll be blown away by how quick and effective this is. Remember, we asked our custom lesson planner to generate a song script in 3 different genres. So I'm going to take this hip hop lyrics that contain all these idioms. I'm going to go to Udio, open up full screen, go to create. And what I'm going to do is, guess what? Copy paste that lyric into this tool. So I set hip hop as a genre. I chose write lyrics, so to have my own lyrics here. I don't recommend using this tool for generating lyrics. Use a different tool to generate lyrics, paste it here, and generate the song. So all I do is now click create, wait for a couple of minutes, and on the right side, you see it's being generated, like it's generating a song for me, right? So I'm going to wait for a few seconds, and we're going to hear two different versions, one fast and one slow, of the same exact song with these idioms. So let's go.
Listen up. Here's the deal. We on the ball for real. Out of left field ideas. No time to chill. I'll give a ballpark, picking up the 2 seal. Bro, in this how we go the extra mile. Step up the game, hit it with style. Break the ice, don't waste no time. We blow off steam with every rhyme. We work hard. But when it's tough, we call it a day. Enough is enough. But before we do, we hit the nail on the head. Making sure the mission is fully fed. Bro, in this how we go the extra mile. Step up the game, hit it with style. Break the ice, don't waste no time. We blow off steam with every rhyme.
Okay, and option 2, slower.
Yo, listen up, here's the deal. We're on the ball for real, out of left field. Ideas, no time to chill. I give a ballpark pickle, nothing's for steal.
All right, so what do you think about these songs? What I like about this is that you can generate songs in different genres, right? You can maybe create one song using a pop genre or hip hop or rock or blues, right? You can create select genres that are like slower or faster, and you can even differentiate your instruction depending on the genre you select. So, but again, my big recommendation here is first, again, remember, garbage in, garbage out. If your lyrics are good, then generate a song. But if you have bad lyrics out of the gate, you're going to generate a bad song, right? So try different genres, try to see what works. Sometimes it generates something really bad, sometimes it generates something really good. But I created a few that I think are very good, but my friends say that, keep your day job, don't go into music. So I'll keep my day job for now. So we reached almost the end. I think we're almost in time. So I'm just going to quickly cover a couple of things, a bonus demonstration, a bonus tool for yourself. So we're going to revisit for this one an AI competency framework for teachers. So one of the competencies, the last competency in that framework is teachers using AI for professional development. So basically, instead of using AI to create materials for your classroom, you're using AI to guide your own learning and learning of your coworkers and colleagues and the communities using AI. So for this one, I'm going to show you this tool called Notebook LM by Google. So I don't know if you ever use it or heard about it or saw demos of it online. But what this tool does, it allows you to upload long documents, such as the UNESCO 52-page PDF, and it can generate very quick detailed summaries of the main ideas. And what it can also do, it can generate a podcast, a 5 or 7 or 10-minute podcast between two people going back and forth, unpacking the ideas from this framework. So I'm just going to scroll to that part of this demo so you can guys see how you can use AI to learn about AI, right? So this is the UNESCO 52-page document. I downloaded that. I go to Notebook LM. I'm going to create a new notebook, upload it over here, wait for the summary. So now it has a summary of it. Now I can generate a variety of different kind of like Q&A or briefing documents that unpack key ideas from this framework, right? Because who has time to read 52 pages as a busy teacher? I can also talk to this document. So what I'm doing here is I'm an ESL teacher in the US teaching F1 visa students. What should I know about this document, right? And it will answer my question, not by hallucinating like ChatGPT does, but by analyzing this document. And you see those numbers over there at the top? These are citations. So it gives me the answer, and then it cites from which part of the document it retrieved that answer to give me that response, right? So it's pretty powerful. So now I'm going to show you the coolest feature, and it's called Deep Dive.
So this UNESCO report we're looking at today, the AI competency framework for teachers, is kind of a big deal.
Right. So what you're listening is a custom generated podcast. So it took 52-page document and converted it into this podcast. So let me just play maybe 30 more seconds.
It's a first truly global attempt to give some much needed guidance on this front.
So a global first. That's really exciting. Can you tell us more about what makes this framework so unique?
Well, one of the things that really struck me is how it.
So you get the idea, right? So, I mean, I hope you guys realize, right? This is AI generated podcast from a 52 PDF document that took me just a couple of minutes to generate.
Shifts the perspective.
So let's unpack this. You can use AI to learn about AI. I think this is really powerful. what I recommend to you is to find your favorite tools, different AI tools that allow you to learn about AI with AI much more efficiently. And then you can generate this kind of like summaries or podcasts and share with others. I think all teachers are already content creators, and with AI advanced capabilities, you can create more content much quickly with better quality, and you can accelerate your own professional development and professional development of your coworkers and other teachers at the school where you teach. So we made it till the end. So let's recap, and we covered a lot. So I hope you're still here on the webinar, and I'm not just talking to myself. So what did we do? We learned how you can use custom ChatGPT to create your own AI assistant for curriculum or lesson planning. We then generated our own natural sounding audio passages for dialogues based on those lessons. We use Claude artifacts to create custom interactive activities, right? As some of you I saw pointed out in the chat, it contains some grammar activities. Again, that speaks to the importance of always being the human in the loop, right? So never just generate and share like I did in the demo, right? So we used DALL-E 2 and Leonardo AI to generate custom images for us, and we asked AI to generate prompt for those images. We saw how to use Synthesia for creating instructional videos using AI. I showed you how you can create an avatar of yourself, right? Just by uploading a video, and then generated thousands and thousands of videos that you never recorded as if you did. We created custom songs, which I thought was pretty cool, right? Again, using songs for listening activities or for fluency building could be pretty cool. And then I showed you how to use NotebookLM for guiding your own professional development by turning long documents into podcasts that are easy to listen to. So we also learned a couple of other things, right? So I told you at the beginning that you will learn implicitly a lot of AI concepts. So let's recap what those concepts are. First, you are the pedagogy expert. You are the human in the loop, right? AI does not know how to teach. You know, so instruct AI pedagogically and review, outputs at every stage. All AI tools, as you saw, are input-output machines, right? Garbage in, garbage out, copy-paste, right? So it's basically to say that the better your input into AI, the better the output is. And the output of one AI can become the input of another AI, right? So the output of ChatGPT becomes the input for a video, output of a video could become the input for a song. Always make sure that you review all the inputs first so that your outputs are of high quality. What you saw me do is a lot of zero-shot prompting. Zero-shot prompting is basically when I give instruction to AI without giving it examples. And you saw that it works pretty well. It works really well if you have the time to go back and forth between the sessions, so between the exchanges. But I always encourage you to save the best outputs from AI in a separate document, and then later use what I call few-shot prompting to show AI, like, I expect you to generate something like this, and then the outputs are much better, right? Remember to use the kind of like test, teach, test approach, right? So ask AI to do something, review, explain better, try it again, and go back and forth. I already mentioned few-shot prompting, basically save outputs of AI that are good, and then next time you ask it, say, hey, do this, and here's an example of what good looks like, and then AI will just copy that pattern for you. Remember, you can use more than one tool at a time. You can keep them side by side, brainstorming on the left, generating on the right. You can use multiple tools in parallel, like we did with Leonardo and DALL-E, and choose the best content out of there. For multi-step tools or multi-tool tasks, remember, monitor quality at every step. As you notice, right, some of the apps generated some mistakes. It's typical. There's nothing wrong. Just review it, ask it to correct itself, and you're going to be good. Always be a human in the loop. It's your responsibility to ensure the output of AI tools is appropriate and grammatically correct, right? It's not AI's responsibility, it's yours. So don't share private sensitive information. Everybody can find it one way or another. And last piece is teachers are creators with AI, teachers are creators of AI, and teachers can use AI for professional development. Those are the things that we learned from the UNESCO framework. So I told you I'll share a little secret. our little secret is that we are launching a new AI tool specifically optimized for teachers. So if you found this session overwhelming and there's too many tools, just give us a couple of months and we're going to launch an English teacher specific AI tool to create custom materials based on the global scale of English. So just follow us on social media so you don't miss the announcement when this tool goes live. So I just want to thank you for this session. I know this was a lot of ideas, a lot of tools. As I mentioned, I wanted to cover breadth of possibilities so you feel inspired. The session is meant to be watched and rewatched at a slower pace. So it's going to be published on the YouTube channel. Find that recording, maybe go slowly step by step to see how these tools work and what their names are. And if you want to hack together some solutions as a teacher, I always like collaborating with teachers on some projects that we work on in our team. Just scan this QR code or find me on LinkedIn. I'm usually procrastinating there during work almost every day. So I'm always there. Reach out. I guess last piece, I want to mention that the link for this webinar, a survey is already in the chat. Please complete that survey to get the certificate for this specific session. If you want to get a Credly badge, you need to complete survey for for each of the 5 sessions that happened this week. After you complete all 5, you will unlock the Credly badge. The guidelines is that if you attended the session, please fill out all the surveys by September 29th, and you will get your Credly badge by September 30th. Those of you who are watching the recording of these sessions and you didn't watch this live, you will have until October 17 to do so. On the right-hand side, what you see are the instructions for how to claim your Credly badge. So you will receive this email from Credly with instructions how to follow. Once you receive it, just click on Accept the badge, and it will set you up with a Credly account where you can sign in or sign up and so on. Once you receive your Credly badge, we hope that you are proud of this accomplishment. We hope that you really learned something useful. As you saw across the 5 sessions, we tried to hit all the different angles, right? We hit the overall competencies, we hit the literacy and the ethics side of things, AI for assessments, cutting edge tools and prototyping, and some of the cutting edge prototyping and innovation techniques that you can use in the classroom. So once you unlock that Credly badge, please tag us on social media of your choice. We want to see and celebrate this accomplishment, and just want to say thank you for joining this webinar and hope you really enjoyed it. So thank you so much.